Hello folks, this is Starla Moore answering your spiffy questions as promised from my page. I feel like a bit of a hypocrite right now because I don't even have one of my own keys on. I'm about to work out, and if you read my general information, which most people do not, but if you read my general information, it tells you not to wear your key during any strenuous activity, swimming, sports, athletics, blah blah blah. Anyway, okay, so let's jump right into this. I am not a good public speaker, and I am one of those people who stutters when I read out loud, so bear with me for a minute. Okay, our first question. From what I see, you're a stay-at-home mom on a military base, and I was wondering if any of the other military wives have ever had negative opinions on your crafting. I have a few friends that are stay-at-home moms who have told me that some of their neighbors, mainly working friends, occasionally look down at them. Not to make that a depressing question, but I know that being a stay-at-home mom is difficult regardless of what anyone thinks, and I wondered if anyone ever gave you a hard time about it. Okay. Well, here's the thing. When you're a military wife, pretty much everybody around you is a housewife. I mean, there are a few people, in college or still deciding what they want to do with their lives, and because we're military wives, we have the option to do that. And I think that there are more independent sales consultants and crafters when you look at the military wives than there are actual working women. And a lot of it is because we're kind of bored sitting at home, we're in a new place, we're on a new base, we're millions of miles away from family, and it tends to be why we have children. Because we're bored and we want that family environment at home, and having more people in your household just kind of makes you feel better about being so far away from other family. So no, nobody really looks down on me about it. In fact, they're really supportive. I don't make any major sales. I have one customer who comes over a lot, but I don't really make a lot of sales around here. Most of my sales are online. I do try to advertise a lot at vendors fairs, but it's more of me just trying to get my name out rather than actually selling products. So, second question by the same person is, what was the turning point where you were just like, I'm going to make key-themed jewelry? Was it hard getting support from family members, or were you able to jump in? My first keys were terrible. A lot of you might have seen them in my sold album. They did sell, or I modified them later on, but they were mainly just my base model keys, like these, with just a few gems or roses on them. There wasn't anything really special about them, and I realized that the more and more that I packed onto one key, the better and faster it sold. I don't know. I think it was mainly boredom. I had just had my daughter when I started making jewelry, and she was still laying on the floor doing nothing a lot of the time, sleeping, napping. And I was doing tattoo designs for a really long time. I try to draw as much as I can, but I haven't really had a lot of time to. And I realized that it just wasn't making the kind of money that I wanted to, and a lot of the times, people tell me what they want their tattoo to look like, but I don't always draw it out the way that they visioned, and then I don't get paid, and it's a lot of wasted time. So I feel like people come to me, wanting these keys, regardless of what they look like. I can always make them look good, and it's just a lot easier. So, and my family members are like, oh my god, I can't believe you're making so much money doing this. I mean, I've been doing jewelry since I was in middle school. I used to sell hemp jewelry. That didn't sell very well, but I think that kind of 90s crowd, grunge, hippie appearance is starting to kind of fade away, and nobody's really into the hemp anymore, especially in the part of the world that I am right now. I'm currently in California. Question number 3, same person. Do you like to read, and if so, what are some of your favorite books or genres? If not, what kind of music do you like? Well, I don't really have a lot of time to read. I barely have time to go to the bathroom by myself. But I did read. I have bookshelves all over my house to make people believe that I read. But honestly, I read kids' books. I know that's silly, but I've stuck to the same series that I was reading when I was a kid. My favorite series is the Warrior series by Aaron Hunter, who is not really, it's two people who use the name Aaron Hunter. But I've been reading this series since I was a little kid, and it is amazing. If you haven't read it, it's it is definitely a good book for animal fans. When it comes to more adult books, I like the Women of the Other World series. This is Bitten, one of the first books in the series that I'm currently reading. It's good, sexy, if you're into that kind of thing. Everybody's like, have you read 50 Shades of Grey? No, I have not. I don't know. My husband's kind of iffy about me reading it, as if I care, but just, I'm not really big into fad series. I never read Harry Potter, believe it or not. I only read Twilight because I read it before it got popular. So, and then the last book series I really like is the Dritz series by R.A. Salvatore. If you're into the more like fantasy dragons, elves, and stuff, it's a really good series. It's a really long series, and he's still writing books. So, as for music, we're kind of a metal family. Right now I've been listening to a lot of We Came as Romans, and I'm a big fan of Asking Alexandria, but at the same time my husband has me constantly listening to Whitechapel, Lamb of God. Right now we're big into Camelot. I didn't really like it when I first heard it. It's very medieval, opera sounding rock, but it's very mellow. Um, and before all that, I was more into the heavier, grungy metal. I was really big into Slipknot for a long time, which I still kind of am, but I'm definitely a rock listener. I don't really venture into many other genres. Definitely not like a R&B hip hop kind of person, if you haven't already gathered that from the kind of jewelry and things that I post. So, question number 4. Having to work around your baby's needs, do you set a particular day for your crafting, or is it just stop and go whenever you can get the time? I just come in here whenever she's doing her own thing. I can peek in at her. My husband, when he's home, he will kind of watch her or play his game while she's playing on the floor. Right now she's sitting in her high chair eating because he's at work. So I just get time away when I can. It's always very sporadic. Okay, next person, because those were all by the same person. What is it like living on a military base? I did some interviews for my senior paper about what it is like to be married to an active member of the military, and a lot said it starts off difficult, but knowing that there are others in the same position makes it easier. Did you ever have doubts about this lifestyle, and does making the keys help get your mind off of things like when he's away? Well, my husband hasn't deployed yet. We have only been in for about, it's almost been 2 years, I think? Yeah, it's almost been 2 years, and we have mainly just been together the entire time other than basic training, which was only 3 months, and that wasn't that bad. So if living on a base is, honestly, imagine being in like a gated community. It's just a neighborhood, really, with a big fence around it. The rules here are a little bit different. Like, if you get pulled over on base, it isn't really, it's not like you get a traffic ticket from a cop. You get reported to the first sergeant, who's basically in charge of everybody. And your pay can go down for things like that, whereas in the real world, obviously, you're not going to lose pay for getting a traffic ticket. But my house is one of hundreds of little identical cookie cutter houses. I might walk around the house here in a minute and give you guys a tour if you'd like to see that. It's still really bright outside, so I can show you the community a little bit. I like it though. I mean, I miss being around family, but okay, next question. Have you been to any other military bases, and what's your favorite one? What made you decide to make keys, and why haven't you made any military-themed keys? Okay, well, we started out, of course, everybody starts out at Lackland, and, you know, I just visited him for basic training graduation. And then we were at Goodfellow Air Force Base in Texas, and that was miserable because it was hot and I was pregnant. And we were only there for about 6 months while he trained. Then we went home for about a month, and the base closest to our house is Wright-Patterson. Unfortunately, there isn't any chance of us getting stationed there because they don't train in my husband's career field, so we're never really going to be that close to home. Wright-Patterson is in Ohio. It's absolutely gorgeous. And that would be my favorite base if I had to choose. Maybe I'm just biased though because it's so close to my home. And then currently I am at Beale Air Force Base in California. Not the glamorous part of California with all the rock stars and everything. I'm kind of over in the mountains where it's boring and nothing to do. Middle of fields. And I haven't made any military themed keys because I feel like they only pertain to a really small audience. Most of my customers are actually in the UK, Australia, Germany. I've had some orders to Malaysia. I just don't have a lot of US customers, and at the same time there's an even smaller window of US customers who would want to buy military keys. If you wanted to order one, I could always make one. I can always order the parts for one, but I try to do keys that pertain to a lot of people rather than just a tiny itty bitty grouping of people. But like I said, I can make anything. So, okay. My family is military also, and me and my mother have been fighting a lot, and I don't know what to do about it. Any suggestions to help cool things down between me and her? And then I had to ask if military family meant she was married to somebody in the military, or if her father was in the military. Got the answer that the father's in the military. Gotta always consider that your parents are really stressed. I know, I mean, my baby is only a year old. I'm only 21. But this lifestyle is stressful, and knowing that your child is gonna have to grow up in this lifestyle, always moving around, it's pretty stressful as well. Just keep in mind that there's a lot of things going on right now. Pay cuts, there's a lot of reason for parents to be stressed out about money, and you know, they can tend to release a lot of frustration out on you. What I try to tell everybody who is growing up in this generation, when you're out of the house, you're free. So pretty much just kind of grit your teeth and bear your parents' rules, and even if you don't like it, listen to them, because once you're out, you're not going to have to deal with it anymore anyways, and the odds are that you're going to look back at the things that they were doing and saying, and you're going to realize that, you know, they did have good reason for it, and it's impossible to have that hindsight. Well, it's impossible to be able to see that, you know, from the situation that you're in right now, but you'll learn eventually that probably whatever the fighting is about isn't really about you. It probably has a deeper dwelling. So I can't really help a whole lot with that question because I don't know the whole story or what you guys are fighting about, but that's kind of my generic answer. Okay, last question. Other than for paying back for the materials that you buy, how do you judge what prices to put for your keys? I make bracelets, and I sometimes feel like I either don't charge enough or I charge too much. Well, it really depends on how much time I put into a key, how many parts are on a key, how much effort I had to put into it, and I guess I would have to say how much I know I can make out of it. If I make a really big, extravagant, beautiful key, I'm not going to charge the minimum for it because I know that it's going to sell at the price that I want, and I know with that money I'll be able to expand more. Right now, I don't spend my money on anything. I only restock on supplies because I'm trying to put a lot of new things into the shop. I went through a really long time period where I just wasn't making any sales, and I think it's because people are getting sick of the same old designs. I'm really wanting to bring back a lot of watches. I'm hoping to expand and start doing some bracelets. That's why I started doing the keychains. I want to be able to do a variety of things. So with keys, if they're plain, I charge $15, you know, kind of simple. That's usually my minimum price unless it's a sale item or my tiny itty bitty crystal wings. My crystal wings are usually $10. I haven't added these into my Etsy shop yet because I need to restock on them. I need to, get some new colors in, but those will be back soon. And then my, so-so keys, medium size, lots of gears, pretty, detailed keys, usually around 17. My big, huge Victorian elegance keys, if I can find one of those. No, maybe I can't. This is my key basket. This is where my keys live. Well, maybe I sold them all. Well, bigger keys are around $20. Generally, because I use the big, here's a blank, the elegance keys. They're more expensive for me to buy, so I tend to charge a little bit more for them, but they're the prettiest keys that I carry. They're very shiny, sparkly. I love using them. They're probably my favorite key. And then my $25 keys usually are just, a little bit more, more charms, bigger gems, more wings. Just the more charms I use, the more I charge. So, and then of course the ones that I have to, there's a particular part that I use, the big cross part with the chains that dangle. Those I charge a little bit more for because I have to actually go to a store to buy them, and the store is always out of them. So I have to have the people order them for me, and I can only order them in like a few sets at a time. And they're kind of expensive for me to buy, so that's why those keys are so pricey. But they always sell really well, and I always have more orders for them. And I try my best to keep stocked on those particular cross pieces, but a lot of the times the store doesn't have them in. So I think that's all my questions for now. I guess I could quickly, because I know you guys are getting sick of watching this, I can show you my workstation. It is a disaster. So you'll have to excuse me, but this is where the keys are made. It is a mess. I'll be releasing a few new ones out tonight. And then, I know you guys were curious about the military base, so I guess I can show you my... You'll have to excuse the toys, of course, having a child. There she is. There's Miss Taylor Rose. She's still eating her eggs. Say hi! Hi! She says, nah. That's alright. Eat your eggs. Alright, this is my lovely little base house. Very tall ceiling. Bookshelf that I spoke of. Some boxes. And I've been constructing a small car for my daughter. You have to excuse the mess. Here's my garden. And here is my little neighborhood. Looks about like a normal neighborhood. That's the tree that I take all my key photos in. And a lot of you guys probably wonder where I take all the pictures of the key on the big natural stone, that big yellowish stone. I take all of those photos right here, on this rock in my gutter. Look familiar? So, whoop, Kitty. This is my Chihuahua. Hi, Eddie. So that was my first little set of questions and answers. Sorry it ended up being so long. I don't really know how to shut up too much. So hopefully I can start doing this maybe monthly, I'm thinking. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to start asking, and I will try to put them in the next set of videos. If I end up with a lot of questions before the month is over, I'll go ahead and make maybe like a mid-monthly video. So, thank you guys if you actually sat through the entire thing and watched it. I greatly appreciate it, and I greatly appreciate everybody who's been supporting me and liking and sharing and getting my page recognized. I am a very bored person, and it's really nice that my simplistic life can turn into something so awesome in the eyes of a lot of people, and I feel great that a lot of people really want to learn more about what's going on with me. It's flattering because, you know, like I said, I'm a pretty boring person. But I thank you all for watching. I'm going to shut up now and go away. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. It's Sunday, I guess your weekend's over, but thank you for watching.